So even though it might still be going on, they're just really not aware of it. So they're not thinking about it. There's some days where I'm buying more across the counter in dollar amount than I'm selling out the door. The big buyers came in March and April and part of May. And now they're sitting on those larger stacks just kind of.
So if you haven't noticed, silver prices, premiums, and demand have all been dropping. And if you're wondering why, you're not alone. So today we are going to get on the phone with Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion, who has some fantastic insight as to what's going on in the market with demand, with business in his shop, and more. This is a great interview, so I hope you stick with me. Additionally, stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to tell you about a new giveaway that we are doing right now, giving away some more free silver. And don't forget to subscribe to help us continue to grow the channel. Now let's get Josh in here and see what's going on. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to SDBullion.com/new. All right, Josh, welcome back. How are you doing today, my friend?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
That is awesome to hear. As you guys know, if you watch this channel, Josh has been on the channel multiple times. He has a channel himself, Minot Coin and Bullion. We're going to put a link to that in the description below, so make sure you go check him out. But Josh, I wanted to talk about demand in your store. I want to talk about spot prices. I want to talk about premiums going down. I know you just did a video about this on your channel, but we're going to hit it up here as well. Let's talk about premiums falling. What do you think is causing premiums to fall so much? Because I've looked at wholesale lists showing 1 ounce rounds as low as $1.75 over spot now from wholesalers.
Yeah, you're right. And actually certain things, certain size bars are even cheaper per ounce. But I think the biggest reason premiums have dropped is demand has dropped more than anything. I can only speak for myself as far as business in the shop, but business has slowed down quite a bit in the month of June versus May, which was down a bit from April. So I think demand is part of it, and as demand drops, manufacturers that produce the silver rounds can catch up. As we mentioned in earlier interviews I had with you, there were times where it was almost a 2-month delay if you were to order a monster box of silver rounds. Now, oftentimes they're live, or maybe they're 1 week. So I think the suppliers are catching up, and they're seeing maybe an increase in product that they have sitting on their warehouse shelves. So when that happens and they're not getting ordered now by the wholesalers and the dealers, they have to drop the premiums to start moving product again. And I think that's where we're at, where this supply has caught up somewhat with demand, so it's caused premiums to drop.
So I have a theory on why I believe silver and gold the demand is dropping, and I kind of wanted to run that by you. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm way off base, whatever it is. But if you look at going back to March, whenever, the SVB and the banking crisis was happening, people are worried about that. They're worried about inflation, the money in their bank accounts. They're worried about the dollar collapsing. You have a lot of people putting all this money into gold and silver. And then you go April, May, things are still fine. June, we get into, right now we're in the middle of June and everything looks to be fine, at least on the surface. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the background, but on the surface, everything looks good. So you have all these people that are getting into it and they're looking at silver dropping, the price is dropping, they're looking at the premiums come down, and they look at all this gold and silver they bought and they realize they could have now bought that same gold and silver for way less money or got more gold and silver for the money that they spent, whatever it may be. And that can be really disheartening. And I think that's what's causing a demand, the demand to drop is because people are just kind of disenfranchised or disheartened by the money that they put into gold and silver. And then everything looks, I'm not saying it's perfect. I know it's not, but everything looks on the surface to be fine. They look at the spot price coming down and it just disheartens them, disenfranchises them. So my question would be, what would you say to those people? And additionally, what are your thoughts on why demand is dropping?
Sure. Well, what would I say to those newer stackers that are a little disheartened? I'd tell them to be patient. Never buy metal with the intent of getting rich quick. That's not how it works typically. So granted, there's instances, yes, you maybe could have, but that's not typical. So I would just tell them to be patient. As far as why demand has dropped, it's the FOMO isn't there anymore because the media isn't talking about gold and silver because the bank failure news isn't in the news, even though there are banks that are continuing to fail. So I think the media plays a role in it as well, where it's not in front of people and in their face as much. And honestly, humans have short attention spans. So even though it might still be going on, they're just really not aware of it. So they're not thinking about it. And the fact that it's summer. Summer is always a slower month, or a slower time of year, I should say, for metals. At least in the U.S., and I've always thought it's for the sheer fact summers are short, at least in my part of the country. There's a lot of vacations, kids are out of school, people are going places, and you're not thinking about investing for your future. And that's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think about going in the summer, and even I had just been on vacation. We had talked about that before this call, and there was 2 weeks where 2 weeks straight where I didn't really think about silver at all. And it's not because I have no interest in it. Obviously, I'm a huge silver stacker and I love it, but there's sometimes you just have to disconnect. You know what I mean? You just have to take a step back and breathe a little bit.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. And to just kind of expand on what I said earlier, for the newer stackers that were getting in buying metal in March and April, and I had many in my shop, just like other shops all across the country, I'm sure. I haven't seen them selling it back yet. So I don't think they're so disheartened where they've given up necessarily on investing in metals. But having said that, I've had a lot of people selling metal to me in the last 3 weeks, really the month of June, late May. There's some days where I'm buying more across the counter in dollar amount than I'm selling out the door. So it's really allowed me to, well, it's always an advantage, of course, to buy it across the counter, and you would prefer to usually, because then you can pay your price rather than the wholesaler price, which I'm pretty competitive either way. But it's interesting, and I don't quite understand why that's happening, because it's not like it was an advantageous time where spot price went up a bunch, but there has been a lot of sellers. So I don't know if I'm alone in that, but
have you asked, and I know it's privacy is a thing and it's really none of your business, but just out of sheer curiosity, has anyone told you why they're selling it all, or have they just sold and walked out and not said anything?
Well, I get both types, and I'm not one to pry. If somebody brings in something, I might ask them, "Oh, where did you get this?" I don't ask, "Oh, why are you selling it today?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and honestly, many people, "Oh, well, we're going on a family vacation and I needed some cash." I mean, and that's the time of year we're in, really, summer vacation. So not everybody's in that same boat. Other people, "Oh, I inherited this from grandpa and this is my share and I don't want it and my kids don't want it." And other times people just come in, they're real focused, and they want to get in and out, and "I got this, what do you offer me?" and give them a number, we do the paperwork, and they're out the door. So I don't always get information from people as to why they're selling, but people always sell for different reasons. But lately, what I've seen, the ones that have told me, it's they're either liquidating something that wasn't theirs to begin with, that they inherited, that they don't want, or they're cashing out to pay for a bigger purchase like a vacation.
So let me talk about traffic in your shop. We had kind of touched on it a little bit before we started recording, but you said it's been pretty steady, but not a whole lot of big buyers. You want to elaborate on that?
Sure. Yeah, traffic has still been good. I mean, most days I have a customer facing me, or in the shop, I should say, with me the whole time I'm open. Sometimes I get lollygaggers that are here for a couple hours, which is perfectly fine, but there's always people coming in and out, so I still have a fair amount of traffic. It's just the sales aren't as high as they typically would be based on traffic, because the big buyers aren't coming in. The big buyers came in March and April and part of May. And now they're sitting on those larger stacks, just kind of thinking, well, now what next? I did, however, have a large gold transaction this month, which ended up being the largest transaction singly that I've ever done in my life. There was an individual who's a caretaker for their mother, who's in ill health, and they're trying to liquidate her assets on her behalf, and they sold a bunch of her farmland and ended up with 7 figures in the bank. And they're like many people that I think distrust is maybe the wrong word, but they're a little uncomfortable having large amounts of cash in the bank. So they reached out to me and did a very sizable 6-figure gold purchase that I had to broker through one of my wholesalers. And when I called him to place that order, It was well over. I mean, it was almost 400 ounces of gold. So I mean, it was a big order. Um, he kind of chuckled because him and I had just spoke about how gold demand had really dropped lately. And he said, it's funny you call me because I'm right in the middle of doing a $1.2 million gold buy for a customer of mine as well. So just in the matter of that one day, I mean, there was a huge amount of gold that just went through that one wholesaler. So coincidence? I don't know, but I think there's still demand there. We just aren't seeing it as frequently.
I think it's funny you mentioned that. You know, gold demand might be down, but I think trust in banks is down even further. So I could totally see somebody that all of a sudden has like, millions of dollars in the bank just not feeling comfortable with it being there. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. Yep. I've had customers talk to me who are in here buying metal because they take large amounts out of the bank. And they also tell me that they're actually, they maybe did business with Bank A for 40 years and they have a sizable amount of cash in there. They don't feel comfortable having it all in Bank A. So now they're opening an account with Bank B and Bank C and Bank D, and they're spreading around their cash that they're holding in the bank. So
Yeah.
I've heard that from multiple people. So you're right. The distrust in the banking industry hasn't went away, and I don't know that it ever will, quite frankly, unless banks change how they do business.
Yeah. And
So it'd be
distrust.
interesting to see.
I was going to say, and distrust in cash as well. This is kind of off topic, but I watched this other YouTube channel called Audit the Audit, and it's basically about police interactions and law and stuff like that. And there was one where this courier, I guess it was a courier, I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was transporting like $100,000 in cash. Got pulled over by the Arkansas State Police, who confiscated it, even though he didn't have it illegally. And after going through all the court and everything like that, he ended up only getting back like a third of it, and he had to pay all of his own legal fees. So basically, he lost all of it. And it talks about how government incentivizes cash confiscation, because a lot of the times it goes to the department that confiscated it. So, for example, the Arkansas State Police, if that confiscation ends up becoming to where the government does keep it, they get the majority of it, right? So it almost incentivizes them to do so. You know what I mean? It's just scary. Running around with cash, keeping it in the banks. I mean, what the heck are you supposed to do besides bury a safe in your backyard and tell nobody about it? You know what I mean?
I know people that do that too.
Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to share with me? I always like to open the floor up for you. Before we go, anything that I didn't cover you wanted to tell people about?
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'll circle back actually to premiums if we could for a minute, because as you had mentioned, that I just did a video on it, and you talked about it as well, where premiums are dropping. I think a lot of customers, unless they watch channels like these, are blissfully unaware that premiums drop. I get a lot of people that come in the shop that buy frequently, but they might buy 10 ounces a week. Well, one of those regulars came in yesterday, and he was thrilled when he found out rounds were cheaper than they've been in a long time because premiums had dropped a bunch. He had no idea. And how does the average person know? Well, truly you don't, unless you have access to wholesale sheets. But what you can always do, you can kind of get a pretty good guide by looking at the large online retailers, which you do a great job doing, of all the comparisons. So, and of course, you can always call your local coin shop to find out too where premiums are at. But it's just something to look out for. I think it is a good buying opportunity. Since I talked about it yesterday, I think silver's up like 35 cents or something like that. So silver did jump a bit today. But the fact that premiums are down typically triggers more buying. So take that for what it's worth.
Do you think the premiums coming down on top of the spot price being a little bit sideways right now is going to cause demand to go back up? And then when demand goes back up, are the premiums just going to rise again? What do you think?
Yes and yes. That's usually what happens. But because of the timing and the time of the year that it is, like I said, demand typically is down this time of year. And usually the slowest 2 weeks in coin shops, at least from guys that I know personally and speak to, are the last week of June through the first week of July. I mean, that takes you basically through the 4th of July weekend, a lot of summer vacations. We're approaching that pretty quick. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true this year. But History tells us, yes, demand should increase again, buying should pick up again, but because of the time of year, I'm not sure it will. But if it does, one of two things will happen. Spot's going to start to creep up, or wholesalers are going to get backlogged and bogged down with orders, and premiums will have to creep up again because they aren't going to be able to deliver immediately. So, yeah, I think both of those absolutely could happen.
Yeah, and now the spot price creeping up wouldn't be as a result of physical demand, though. Generally, that's,
No,
basically fueled.
Not normally, no.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, basically, that's fueled by industrial demand on the comics. But the premiums, on the other hand, at least in my experience, obviously are 100% affected by demand.
They are. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of months. But like you said, this time of year with everyone staying slow, maybe it will be just a good buying opportunity for the next month or two. And that would be great. That'd give everyone a chance to pick up a little silver before we hit the winter months and we start seeing everything go wild again.
Exactly. And, I'm stacking right now too, because I like where premiums are at in comparison to where they've been. I liked them a lot better 4 or 5 years ago, but this is pretty good based on what we've seen the last few years in terms of premiums on silver.
Absolutely. Awesome, Josh. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate having you on as always. And guys, I want to remind you one more time, I said it at the beginning, but Josh has a great YouTube channel. If you want to see silver and gold from a dealer's perspective, I'm going to put a link for his channel in the description below. Go check him out. Give him a sub. He definitely deserves it. Has a great channel, great content, and I hope you guys go over there and watch. Josh, I hope to have you back on here in a few weeks, if that's okay with you.
Of course. Anytime. I'm always happy to chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon. So there you have it, guys. That was Josh from My Not Coin and Bullion, and as always, it's great to have him on. Now, at the beginning of this video, I promised I would tell you about a new giveaway that we are doing, and I'm going to tell you about that right now. So the first giveaway I want to tell you about is our giveaway going at my website at coolstacks.com. And if you guys go to my website and scroll down on the right-hand side, you can see our June 2023 giveaway. And if you open that up, you can see we are giving away 5 1-ounce silver Cowboy rounds right now. We did it last month. We're doing it again this month. We have 5 of those being given away this month, so make sure you go over there and get your entry in. I will put a link in the description below. And our other giveaway is actually being hosted over in our Discord server. So if you guys haven't joined our Discord server yet, it is 100% free. And basically, Discord is a big online chat room where you can talk to other silver stackers, gold stackers, ask questions, talk directly to me, and more. And as I said, we are giving away another of these 1-ounce silver Cowboy rounds in our Discord server right now, but you have to be in Discord for that one. The other 5, you do not. So you still can definitely get entered into those if you don't want to join Discord, but I highly recommend getting in our Discord server today, chatting with others, and entering this giveaway. And that is it. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, do me a favor. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. That helps YouTube recommend this video to others, and I definitely appreciate that. And also check out this video above if you've ever wondered how much gold or silver you could buy in today's market with $10,000. I'll put that link up above. Guys, have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you next time.